Rush is one of the greatest progressive rock bands of our generation, and were, in no small part, propelled to their level of success by their drummer, the late great Neil Peart. Before Peart came to be Rush's drummer, John Rutsey held the position. He would leave the band after the release of their first self-titled album due to health issues and his dislike for touring. Peart was brought on to take the place of the drummer, and also took over as the main lyricist for the band. Peart was a heavy reader, which led to some of his greatest songs, such as Anthem, 2112, Tom Sawyer, and more, with Anthem and Tom Sawyer being directly named for the books of which they were inspired by. Of all the literature that Peart consumed throughout his life, the world of Middle-earth, crafted by J.R.R. Tolkien, was the muse for two of Rush's most fantastical songs, Rivendell and The Necromancer. Rivendell is off of Rush's sophomore album, Fly By Night, which also was Peart's first album with the band. In Middle-earth, Rivendell, also referred to as the last homely house east of the sea, or Imladris Carringol, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, is inhabited and ruled by Elrond Perindell. The first stanza of the song details Rivendell and its beauty, with Geddy singing of, quote, the sunlight that dances through the leaves, and, quote, soft winds and the sighing of trees. In the description of Rivendell, elves sing through endless nights as time in Rivendell will, quote, never touch you, as it is an enchanted place. In the second stanza, Lee sings that Rivendell, which is the place where, quote, the misty mountains rise and friendly fires burn, is a place where the Dark Lord cannot go, the Dark Lord being Sauron. The remaining two stanzas of the song seem to take Bilbo's perspective as he was in The Fellowship of the Ring. The lines, quote, I've traveled now for many miles. It feels so good to see the smiles of friends who never left your mind. Probably references Bilbo's return to Rivendell after secretly leaving the Shire and reuniting with friends that he met in The Hobbit, and that he never forgot yet longed to see again before his death. The lines, quote, darkness gives way to light a new way. Stop here for a while until the world calls you away. Tie into the first two chapters of the second part of The Fellowship of the Ring, when Frodo and the Hobbit stay in Rivendell until, quote, the world calls them away, to depart on their journey to destroy the Wandering, aided by the Fellowship of the Ring. And the final two lines return to Bilbo's perspective. Quote, this is the place to grow old till I reach my final day. Again, Bilbo wishes to live out his last days in Rivendell, as he has had his taste of adventure and now wishes to rest. Although The Necromancer and The Fountain of Limnath were blamed by critics for the failure of Rush's third album, Caress of Steel, both being over 10 minutes long and therefore unfit for radio play, they both are held by fans as masterpieces, and held in the same view as Rush's other epics, 2112, Xanadu, Cygnus X1, and more. While The Fountain of Limnath has been interpreted to have multiple meanings, none are of Tolkienian descent, so I won't be discussing it in this video. The Necromancer, however, references Middle-earth first and foremost in its name. In The Hobbit, Sauron, who has not yet returned to Mordor, dwells in Dol Guldur, an evil fortress in the southern part of Mirkwood. In part 1 of the song, titled The Darkness, quote, three travelers, men of Willowdale, are mentioned, which reference Rush itself as the neighborhood of Willowdale in Toronto, Canada, was where the band was formed. They, quote, emerge from the forest shadow and ford the River Don and go south, which, taken as referencing Mirkwood and the surrounding areas, would, as the song puts it, would bring them, quote, into the dark and forbidding lands of the Necromancer. As they travel this treacherous way, they are, quote, stripped of will and soul, and only their thirst for freedom gives them hunger for vengeance. And a couple lines before, Peart makes a possible reference to the ring wraiths as he writes, quote, they will become empty, mindless specters, which are the very thing the Nine Kings of Men became when given their rings by Sauron in the Second Age. In part 2, Under the Shadow, it is said that, quote, the Necromancer keeps watch with his magic prism eyes, or the palantar that Sauron uses to view all of his lands around Middle-earth, as he has no physical body after being separated from the One Ring. The narrative of the Necromancer differs slightly from Tolkien's work, as Sauron watches the three travelers while, quote, brooding in the tower of Barad-dûr, while in the books he first inhabited Dol Guldur and Mirkwood, before being driven out by the White Council, which caused him to relocate to his fortress in Mordor. In the third and final part of the song, The Return of the Prince, the name is a double entendre, as it could be a reference to the third and final book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, The Return of the King, but the prince who it references calls back to a song off of Fly By Night, By Tolkien and the Snow Dog, another multi-part Rush song. In The Necromancer, beginning with the theatrical line, Enter the Champion, quote, Prince By Tolkien appears to battle for freedom from chains of long years, and casts the Dark Lord out of his fortress, breaking his spell over the land, and, quote, the wraith of the Necromancer soars away in the night, or Sauron's spirit departing Mirkwood for Mordor. In the final four lines of the song, quote, the wraith of the Necromancer shadows through the sky, another land of dark with evil prism eye, ending the song on a bittersweet note. The Necromancer necromancer was driven out of one place only to occupy another. Thank you for watching this two-part miniseries of bands that Tolkien stories inspired. Although it was a short endeavor, I enjoyed making these two videos as J.R.R. Tolkien is my favorite writer, so to combine that with talking about two of some of my favorite bands was really fun. For the next couple of videos, I'm not sure in which order I will be releasing them, but while researching part 2 of my History of the Beatles video, I found some very interesting stories that are short but still worthwhile. I'm also in the middle of scripting a video about a new show that I've already watched twice through, so I'll fit that video somewhere into my release time slot, because depending on if I can find the clips on YouTube or not, screen capturing them from Hulu might take a while. So watch out for those, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.